Zidane Danny, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. I am here with my fellow host.
Hi, I'm Jack.
Jack's a little bit out of it, um, but today we thought we would talk a little bit about games that we want to be either remade, uh, remastered, or ported, and basically what that could be. Any of these games could be any of those different things, and we'll go over basically what exactly we would want from a port, remaster, or remake. Um, so, just for an example, um, I really want Threads of Fate to be uh, just simply ported because it's a really good game that was only on the PS1, and yeah. Uh, Meanwhile, there's other games that I think really could use a remake, and we'll go over them. So, what are some of the games that you would really like? Just out of
There was a Wii game called Disney Universe made, and it only ever came out on the Wii and I think the Wii U or something like that. And I've never been able to find another copy because it only came out on that. And I would love for it to get remastered and put on the Switch.
fair enough. So, you, I think we played that a little bit when at your house once, right? Or
We did.
okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Obviously, like, that was, I think we only played that once, so I don't know much about it. But you've played a decent amount.
Oh yeah, I played a lot.
Okay. So, uh, what exactly did that game have? Just out of curiosity.
So basically, what you would do is you would be a little blue character, and you'd wear these different costumes of different Disney characters. Um, and you would upgrade them, and you'd go through different worlds that were different movies and such. So, like, you could go. There was Alice in Wonderland, The Lion King, Wally, and a few others. And you could go through all of these worlds, and you would just play the puzzles and figure them out. And it was very. It was a bit similar to Kingdom Hearts in that it had these bad guys trying to take over the world. Um, who are very small and dark, but very different in the fact that you like are wearing a costume, and like when you Stitch, your weapon is a guitar, and like different things like that. So it's very silly at times.
Okay, so it's kind of like a combination of um I'd say probably Dreamlight Valley meets Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, yep, I would say that too.
Okay. So that might be where the that might be why uh uh Dreamlight Valley exists then.
Except that Dreamlight Valley doesn't have the dungeon crawling that did.
True, but who knows? That might be something that they add later. So, because they really haven't. Obviously, there's. We've only seen like a very small amount of what the game has to offer because this is just the closed beta or the open beta, and they're
True.
planning to do like a whole bunch of extra stuff in the future. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's maybe I'm just crazy. um. So So you probably know about Mega Man, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was this game on the PS1 called Mega Man Legends, and there was a second one as well. Um, Personally, I love Mega Man Legends way more than normal Mega Man games. For one thing, it was a fully 3D game. Um, and it was like one of the first 3D games that was that anyone had done because PlayStation won. Um, but for whatever reason, it never got its third game, which they very vehemently showed that it was meant to get a third game, but they never made it. Um, and on top of that, even though the game doesn't look as good as many of our games nowadays, it's still really well made and looks pretty fantastic for the time. Um, so I absolutely I think that if you ever get the chance, you should absolutely play that. But it's never been ported to any system since. It's never been remastered or remade, and for whatever reason, they never made the third movie or the third game. I mean, instead they went back to their classic versions of Mega Man, and it's just kind of weird. There's like a whole overarching story and stuff like that, and it was basically a reboot of the Mega Man story, but personally, I think it was done a lot better. I don't know.
Yeah.
So if basically what I would want is a remaster because uh, I don't want a remake. Like maybe a few slight changes to make it a little bit easier for newcomers and stuff. But but just but it absolutely should just be remastered, make it look a little bit better. Um, and if they don't want to do that, then just port it because a lot of people would enjoy. I think a lot of people would enjoy it, and then eventually, they should finally make the third game because we've waited for so freaking long for this game, and it's just never come out. I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you ever play that game or no?
Mega Man?
Mega Man Legends.
No, I didn't. I didn't ever. I've only ever had Nintendo.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, it's pretty good, but I think you should look up some of the things. Actually, fun fact for some of you guys who are older fans of the channel, my History Tonight series, the opening soundtrack, the opening song, as well as the end song, well, they're the same song, but for History Tonight, that is actually from Mega Man Legends. It's one of the first songs that you're gonna hear in the game. So that's a little fun fact for you. But yeah. Anyways, what's your next game?
I think my next game I would like is what else? Well, you know what? I'd like to see all of the Pokemon games ported. I don't even care if they get remastered or remade.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really good point.
Remakes, sometimes the remakes aren't great, i.e., see Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, not great.
Yeah, pretty much that felt like the worst of them because of the fact that it was literally just taking the original game and doing practically nothing with it. And I think that
and updating the animation just enough to call it a new one.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I just didn't like it, and I feel like that sucks. You should like what you're watching, you know?
Yeah, and I think I think speaking of that, I think that Pokemon might be understanding that now and realizing that from this point forward, it might be best to just port the original versions of the games so that new players can play them, and then instead of doing the remakes each time, do the Legends games because those are doing extremely well. Like the first Legends Arceus was truly fantastic and people absolutely loved it. So that's probably going to be their plan from this point forward. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, but yeah. So let's see, what was my next game? Oh, Dark Cloud. Did you ever play those? I doubt you played those games because they were PlayStation.
Nope.
Have you even heard of them?
No.
Okay, so basically, Dark Cloud, um, is so basically the whole point of the game is it's a town building game, um, but it's also a dungeon crawler, and basically the dungeons change every time that you go into them. Uh,
Okay.
it's honestly really fun, but I don't. But it was only ever on the PlayStation 2, and it's made by Level 5, who also made Rogue Galaxy. Um, they've made some of the Dragon Quest games, and Ni no Kuni, which I've
Oh, wow.
recommended that you guys play Ni no Kuni a few times, I believe.
Yeah.
So, it's the Dark Cloud games were their first real games, and they're really interesting because the first game basically takes place between the second game. Basically, the second game deals with time travel, where the two main characters, one comes from 100 years in the future, and one comes from the quote unquote present, and they have to work together in order to uh, basically save the world. And one of the big things that you're doing throughout the game is you're making sure that the cities are built in the proper way, so that in the future they end up looking the way that they look in that the main character who comes from the future remembers them, while also making some slight changes to improve on them. So yeah, it's very fun. I absolutely love it. Um, Personally, I say that the second game is the better of the two. But I think that a lot of people kind of agree with that, just because of one thing that was really a problem with the first game is you had three characters that were close range and three characters that were far, and you had to level all of these characters up in order to properly progress the story, but most people would just go with their favorites. Usually it would be the first guy who is close, who's able to be close up, and the first girl who's able to be ranged. The second game fixed a lot of these issues, and you actually want to play with both characters throughout the game. And they do have some extra features for their that are really fun as well. So it's interesting. Um, uh, as such, I think that I personally would like to just see them ported because they're good. They look good. They're PS2 games, which PS2 games have aged pretty well on for the vast majority of them. I think of the two, I would probably do a slight remaster of the first one, but the majority of what I would want from that is voice acting with the change that none of the characters you can change their names, because you can't because in the original game you could choose what those pretty much all of the characters' names. While in the second game there was a whole bunch of voice acting, and it was really fun because it really felt like the characters were important to one another. So, obviously, it would take a lot of work to do that for all of the different characters, but I would love it for sure. Um, so yeah. Uh, Anyways, what's your next game?
I think my next game, and I think my last game, because I've been thinking and I can't think of many more, is like Lego games.
Yeah, I think most of those could
Very
probably just be
affordable.
ported. I think.
I think so. I think Lego Pirates of the Caribbean should be just ported because it is beautiful and perfect just the way it is.
Yeah.
Uh, I think Lego Indiana Jones should be updated since it is so old.
Yeah,
It is
especially the
so
second one,
old,
since
and
um uh that was only on
DS.
the on the Switch, or not the Switch, the
DS.
DS. So
Yeah. I have both of them. I love both of them. I think that they could use with an update in things. Also, because the Switch doesn't have some of the things that the DS did. For instance, you can't blow on the Switch and blow out a candle.
yeah.
So they would need to be updated in that sense because you can't do some of the same things with that. But I think Lego, Indiana Jones, and then we did get our Lego Star Wars, which is incredible, and I love that.
Yeah. I think that it would be a good idea to at least port that so that people can replay the original version. Because, yeah. I think that people would still. I think those games are still really well made, and I think that that would be really fun to just get to play around with those again on a newer console.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Because I think that they did such good work on some of those, and that the ones that we've got for Switch are a little bit lacking, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't love the ones we've got for Switch. I actually ended up giving most of them to my dad.
Yeah. Speaking of the Lego games, did you ever play the Battles games? So Lego
No.
Battles and Lego Battles Ninjago.
No, I did not.
Okay. So personally, I think that Lego Battles is far better than the Lego Battles Ninjago. Primarily because Lego Battles Ninjago is still trying to follow the story of the original first season. And it really doesn't do that well. Especially since that's not what that type of game is. The battles are RTS games. So they think the original Warcraft games.
Okay.
So what I would love is to see the original Lego Battles remastered, or maybe even just a straight remake of the game where you could play where you can just do it all on your computer. It needs to be a computer game, and I think that it would be really fantastic because there's really not that many RTS games in general anymore. Like most
Yeah.
people think, if the games that people think of when they hear RTS is Command and Conquer and the original Warcraft, and that's it. There's not really anything else that
I would say also Age of Empires.
Okay, yeah. So it does happen, but it's a lot less than it used to be. And Ni no Kuni 2 did have some of those traits, but it really wasn't. It really wasn't an RTS. But yeah, I think that they don't need to do Lego Ninjago, the Lego Ninjago Battles game, because that game was pretty bad. But absolutely they should, I think, remake the original game, add some more characters, because one of the things that was really fun about that is that there were 6 stories, technically 3, but they would be on opposite sides. So you could play as the good guys and go through all of those stories, and there's 3 of those. And then there's the bad guys, which honestly, playing as the bad guys or the good guys was just a ton of fun either way. I think my favorite characters were the aliens and the pirates. But I think that they could do so much more than that if they want to make another game in the future, especially since they've got so many more themes at this point. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see if they ever do that. The biggest problem is that I think that it needs to be a computer game only, rather than being on the Switch or the PlayStation, because you really need a mouse and keyboard for those.
Yeah, for RTS games, you definitely do.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly what they want to do. But like it worked fine for the Switch, or not for the Switch, the DS, but it needed work for sure. But also speaking of Lego, um, you never played Lego Universe, correct?
I did.
Oh, you did play it. Okay, that needs to be remade or something. It needs to come back. Um, I think that
Agree.
they did so much good stuff with that game, and it just because of the fact that it flopped, quote unquote, it we've never seen it have the light of day again, which is
I
just
know.
so sad.
Much in the same way that Atlantis and Home on the Range and movies like that, quote unquote, flopped, is
Yeah,
how that flopped. And it makes me mad that they call them flops because they're not flops. They're just not everyone's cup of tea.
yeah. Um, like I think that the biggest reason why Lego Universe flopped, quote unquote, is that one, it was a pretty expensive uh game. It was basically being the same price as an average MMO, but it's a game for kids,
Yeah.
and they really shouldn't have had it be as expensive. Um, Granted, if Lego Universe did come back and they had it be the same price as an average MMO, I would still probably play it.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
keep in mind, I'm an adult who makes money.
Right. Like, I'm an adult who makes my own money. Yeah.
I do not think that like parents are not gonna be the ones are not gonna be interested in buying a game for their kids that they, and spending so much money on it month after month, um, unless they know for a fact that their kid's gonna enjoy it. And there was
Right.
a lot of issues with it because of the fact that one, you had to first buy the game, and then you had to pay for the subscription. So
So maybe they just do without the subscription this time.
maybe, or maybe they do what a lot of MMOs do, where you can play for free and then there's the subscription base, which will give you more features, such as maybe the free to play version. I think for one, that should probably have a lot of the limitations that you would expect from a children's MMO. Basically, limited chat features. Uh, no, you maybe you can't play through all of the story or something. Um, Basically, a lot of those details that you need for children for it to be considered a children's game. Um, and like people who have the who are actually paying for the subscription, they can play and they can talk with other people. But there's like limitations on it. Like if a parent can put on their child's game parent lock so that they cannot see the random chat that people are saying or the other things like that. I think that
I think
obviously
that's
that's
a good.
important.
That's yeah. That is very important. As
Um,
someone who is equal to many small humans, I would love to protect them as much as I possibly can online.
yeah.
Until they are ready to be set free in that realm.
Yeah, exactly. So parent
And,
controls absolutely
and
important, and I think that the free to play version should automatically have all the parental controls automatically locked on, and you cannot change them.
yeah,
Um, and that's and maybe there's like some other things that are hidden away until you actually subscribe, but that will give parents the chance to see, do their kids actually enjoy playing this game, or are they just jumping on it uh, just because they think it's fun at first and then they throw it away a few days later.
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see if they ever do that, but um, Lego's really failed on many parts to ever do an MMO again, so I highly doubt that they will.
Probably true. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Um, I mentioned Rogue Galaxy. That's earlier. I would also like that to be ported or remastered. Um, I don't think it. I don't know if it needs a remake. Um, because I didn't. I've never actually played the game myself, so that's part of the reason why I just want it to be ported or remastered. Um, Now there is something else that I would really like to see, and that is Final Fantasy remakes of pretty much every single game. But
Oh, good God.
but
That's so many games, Ephraim.
I know it's a lot of games. But basically, what I want is start. I'm just gonna use 9 as the example because that's the game I want the most for this. So the game is basically the exact same game, maybe a few little extras here and there. So it's pretty much a remaster. But one thing that would be different is that you have the option to make it be a um an action based you can either have it be action based or you can have it be turn based. So like you do this in the settings, and if you set it to be action based, um you're able to jump between characters and all of these things, basically taking a lot of what they did in 7 and 15 and using that for the future of that. But the if you just want to play it how the original game was, you can set it to turn based, and then you'd be able to play the exact same way, no issues whatsoever. It would be the exact same version that the game was before, just higher graphics, extra bosses, stuff like that.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, and I think that it really would be a truly fantastic way to handle it. Um, we'll see exactly if that ever comes to pass, but that would be something that I would be really interested in seeing, um, because I really don't think that the way that they did the 7 remake was the way to do things moving forward. Um, you haven't played Final Fantasy 7 or the remake, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So basically what they did is they completely changed so the remake, first off, is just the first segment of the game. You're literally just in the first town throughout the entire game. Um, and then they added a whole bunch of extra stuff, but the biggest problem is that they added like this completely different story that makes me at least think that by the end of the game, Aerith is still going to be alive. Which, if you've obviously if you've never played the game, then you wouldn't know. But Aerith dies somewhere in the middle of the game, because Sephiroth is fucking evil. Uh, so I think that, so they're going to what it looks like they're going to do is they're going to completely erase that. Have Zack, who also is supposed to be this character who died saving Cloud's life, and he's actually going to be a main character moving forward because they've actually shown that he is alive in this version, and you can even see how the difference changed in the recent remake of his game. So it's just there's lots of things with it, and it's just like, what the heck were you thinking, people? I don't know. It bugs the crap out of me, and I don't know what their plan is, but it's gonna be a very drastically different game, and I think that Nomura just wanted to create a new story with these characters, and he's trying to figure out a way that everyone can survive because he doesn't have the guts to kill a character. Because, yeah, literally, no character in Kingdom Hearts has ever actually died and stayed dead until Kingdom Hearts 3. And the characters that stay dead are literally the guy who is voiced by the guy by Leonard Nimoy, who actually died. So there's no way that the character really should be coming back ever. Um, and Ericus, who is who died like a while ago, and there's really no point in bringing him back. The characters have all said their goodbyes and stuff to these two characters, and we don't need to see them again.
Yeah.
So
I get behind that. Yeah.
But there's been other characters who have died, and somehow they're back, and it's just like, why? Why can't you just let people stay dead?
Because it's a game.
Apparently. I don't know. It's weird, and he just he has no he wants to keep all of his characters alive somehow. And I don't know. Like they make this whole thing out to be like, this is the final battle, this is gonna be terrible, and everyone lives at the end. Like, even the bad guys are living by the end of the game, and it's by the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's just like, what? All of the bad guys except for one character has actually died and is staying dead. That's just weird. I don't know. But anyways, that's probably a good spot to end it. This has been a bit shorter of a nerd chat, but also, like, it's pretty late for in real life when we're recording this, so that's why. Yes,
and Kellen would like to go to bed.
Fair enough. Anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this nerd chat. We will see you guys next time. We will probably try to keep on with a regular schedule, but Joker will probably be gone for a little while just due to chaos on his end. So me and Jack will probably see you next time. But on.
Good night.